We are live.
ॐ विश्वानि देव सवितर्दुरितानि परासुव यद्भद्रं तन्न आसुव ॐ समानीव आहुतिः समाना हृदयानि वः समानमस्तु वो मनो यथा वः सुसहासति ॐ शान्तिः 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 Welcome everyone. This is Waves 18th talk and I welcome all of you in this talk. And today's topic and today's speakers are here. And today's topic is Kautilya on good governance and economic prosperity. I would like to tell you that this is 18th talk of this session, and we have completed 17 special talks about different aspects of Indian knowledge systems and different aspects of Vedic studies. So I welcome you all, and according to our tradition, first of all, I request Adarsh ji to play Waves Kulki.
Sure.
प्रस्तुत है वेव्स कुलगीत।
पुराणों स्मृति ग्रंथों में निहित अमूल्य सार हम जाने, तत्व ज्ञान ही बोध्य हमारा, वेदाध्ययन है लक्ष्य हमारा। दशकों से है वेव्स दे रहा अवसर चर्चा का, चिंतन का।
दशकों से है वेव्स दे रहा अवसर चर्चा का, चिंतन का।
एक मंच पर सबको लाना ध्येय रहा हर सम्मेलन का, वैश्विक हित कर्तव्य हमारा। स्वस्ति भाव पूरित जीवन हो, अनृत मार्ग से दूर रहे हम। चिदानंद गंतव्य हमारा, वेदाध्ययन है लक्ष्य हमारा।
वेद है माध्यम जिसका न्यारा,
वेदाध्ययन है, वेदाध्ययन है, वेदाध्ययन है लक्ष्य हमारा।
Thank you. This was a waves Kulgi, and something about the waves. Waves World Association for Vedic Studies, Waves International, is a tax-exempt multidisciplinary academic society in the USA. It is a forum for all scholarly activities and views on any area of Vedic studies, variously called Indian Studies, South Asian Studies, or Indology. Waves is not confined to studies related to Vedas alone or India alone. It encompasses all that applies to traditions commonly called Vedic, past, present, and future anywhere in the world. We can log on for this association www.worldassociationforvedicstudies.org. As well as there is one more special thing, wider association for Vedic studies, means Waves India. Waves India is a registered academic society under the Societies Act 21 of 1860 in New Delhi. The association still maintains its acronym WAVES and affiliates with the World Association for Vedic Studies, USA. Presently, WAVES has over 300 members in India registered as life members, with 6 chapters in different parts of India. It has organized 28 annual conferences along with several other academic activities. We can log on for more details www.waves-india.com. Today's talk, we are going to about today's talk. Today's talk is based on Kautilya on good governance and economic prosperity. सुशासन और आर्थिक संपन्नता पर कौटिल्य के विचार. This is the topic for today's talk, and we are very much thankful and very much, we can say, happy that our main speaker, Dr. Lallan Prasad ji, is with us. Dr. Lallan Prasad ji, born in Varanasi in 1939 and educated at BHU, Banaras Hindu University, and Punjab University. He is a management guru, economic and political analyst, writer, and poet. Dr. Lallan Prasad served as the founder faculty member and head of the departments of business management at Punjabi University, Patiala, and Guwahati University, Assam. as well as business economics at the University of Delhi's South Campus, from where he retired as professor, head, and dean. He is also president of Kautilya Foundation and member of the governing council Waves India. Sir, we welcome you in this talk. Your today's topic is based on very special talk, सुशासन और आर्थिक संपन्नता पर कौटिल्य के विचार. This talk is based on different aspects of good governance and economic prosperity. What is the economic prosperity? What is the good governance? And what is said by Kautilya? So all these things we will know by today's talk. A nation's prosperity and people's welfare depend on the vision, integrity, and actions of leaders, administrators, business people, farmers, workers, educators, and others, all of which are discussed at length in Kautilya's Arthashastra. The Arthashastra was written about 2,300 years before, but this is very relevant to today's society also. The objective of the talk is to highlight Kautilya's thinking on specific issues most relevant today, including challenges to India's economy, administrative system, and global leadership. Sir, we welcome you, and we are definitely sure that today's talk will be helpful to understand Kautilya's views about good governance and economic prosperity. Sir, we welcome you in this talk, and now the stage is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Ashutosh, for very kind introduction. Professor Shashi Tiwari, President of the Waves, and dear friends. We are going to talk about a person who was a great visionary, a thinker, a strategist of ancient India, and who is counted among the 13 great ancient rishis of this country, who explored the timeless principles, and he is also known as Chanakya, a name which is given based upon his place of birth, Chanak in Punjab. And he is known as Kautilya because he belongs to Kautilya Gotra. And his another name was Vishnugupta, which his father gave at the time of his birth, praying God to protect him. So these three names are more popular. Kautilya's writings and Kautilya's philosophy. Now, we would like to have some idea about who Kautilya was and what are his contributions. He was one of the 13 rishis of ancient India, popularly known as Chanakya, was a great visionary, thinker, political and economic studies. He was guru and mentor of Chandragupta Maurya, who under his guidance established the biggest and the most prosperous empire. And as you all know, that Chandragupta defeated Alexander and Nanda's empire was closed by Chanakya, who guided Chandragupta to organize small rulers in the country, small kingdoms in the country, and organized a big army. And with the help of that, he defeated Alexander, who had a dream of ruling over the world, but that dream was shattered by Chandragupta in India. And it was Kautilya who was behind this whole game. Kautilya wrote Arthashastra in 320 BC, which is voluminous work containing 6,000 slokas in 150 chapters, dealing with wide variety of subjects, including economics, political science, art of governance, sociology, jurisprudence, diplomacy, war and peace, foreign relations, Vastusas, and many more. He extensively quoted his predecessors, rishis, Brihaspati, Shukracharya, Yagyavalkya, Prasad, Panini, Manu, and others, and gave his views with reasons. So what we find that Arthashastra written by him is a compendium of the earlier works of the great rishis, plus what his contribution, his original contribution, along with the reasons and the logics which he had put in, and some of these we will examine later. Kautilya is the real founder of economic discipline. He wrote Arthashastra more than 2,000 years before Adam Smith, the author of The Wealth of Nations in the 19th century. See, the Western economists or Western thinkers, they have credited Adam Smith as father of the economics. But if you examine the economic principles, you find many of the principles which Adam Smith had taught, they were given by Kautilya thousands of years back. For instance, the economics of scale, or the supply and demand, or the consumer surplus and consumer protection, and many other aspects that we will find in economics, which about which Kautilya extensively wrote, and Adam Smith has just incorporated those in his thesis, The Wealth of Nations, as it is called. Kautilya was much ahead of his time on the issues relating to agriculture, industry, trade and commerce, financial management, budgeting and taxation, services, village and city planning, and international business. He developed the concept of a welfare state based on Indian ethos with optimum utilization of natural resources, environment protection, and social security. The foundation of Kautilya's thought has been the spiritual. He was an ardent believer in varnashram, and he said that it is the duty of the king to promote varnashram dharma. But what we find is that there is a little difference between what he propagated and what many of the earlier rishis have said. Kautilya didn't discriminate between the castes, and there was no hierarchy as has been talked earlier. That is, all jobs were open for all people, whether they are Brahmins or they are Kshatriya, Vaishya or Sudra. Justice was for all. The law applied to all. Nobody was discriminated for that. Even if a Brahman commits a criminal act, he would be punished as much as any common man. Similarly, the rulers, their family, their members of the family, their sons and daughters, if they commit a crime, they will also be subject to the same law which applies to common man. So his varnashram thesis was basically division of labor in the society. Who does the work more efficiently in what field? If it is education, it is philosophy, it is culture, and Brahman is most suited. A person who most suited, he is Brahman, like that. If a person is good in industrial activities, in trading, in commerce, and so on, he becomes a Vaishyan, like that. If a person is warrior, he is a fighter, and so on, he becomes the Kshatriya. And similarly, those who offer services in the society, different services, they are given the status of the Shudra. But all these, as I have told, there was no hierarchy in that. It was basically based who does what job most efficiently. So the art of governance which he discussed and which he developed, that has been unique. And some of the features of that we will come later. Now, Varta is the means to the treasury and army through which king controls his kingdom has enemies. You know that Varta means trade, commerce, agriculture, industry, international business, and all this. And he said that it is the means to the treasury and army both, and that the kingdom is controlled and his enemies are controlled only through Artha. That is, unless you are having wealth, unless you are rich, unless you are prosperous, it's not possible for you to have a kingdom which will be flourishing and which will be providing the welfare to the people. Then he said the first three are dependent on Dandaniti, which alone can provide safety, security of life, in turn depends upon balance. What are these first three? That is the Traya, what is he calls that Rig Veda, Sam Veda, and Yajur Veda. The triple Vedas one has to follow, and these must be learned by the people. Similarly, he has said that we must educate people in Ramayana, Mahabharata, Gita, and Dharmashastra and other scriptures of the country, of this Hindu religion. And he was very emphatic about that education must be given priority. And the other thing was that in education, what he said, that you must educate the people at large along with the kings and emperors and all that. That is, you don't have a separate school for kings and their rulers and their family. You have the same gurukuls for a king's son and daughter, and the same gurukul for a common man. And same education is given. And the education was given both in Shastra and Shastra to all those who are admitted to the gurukuls and to Vidyapeeths and to Vishwavidyalayas. Kautilya himself was the Chancellor of Arthashastra University, and Chandragupta was a student in that university, whom he groomed to become the biggest, greatest emperor of this country. So the Dandaniti, he talked about Dandaniti, that means nothing can be achieved by the state unless there is a system of justice. That is, law applies to all people without discrimination. And the other thing in Dandaniti, which he has discussed in detail, depends upon the discipline and the management and administration and the rules which apply in governance, about which in some detail we will come later. Now, as I have earlier said, that Sukha Simbulam Dharma, Dharma Simbulam Artha, Artha Simbulam Rajya, Rajya Simbulam Indriya Jaya. Happiness lies in following Dharma. And Dharma depends upon the earth. And earth depends upon the Rajya. And Rajya depends upon the Indriya Jaya. That is, the rulers have control over their senses. As we see in Kathopanishad, where it has been said that if you are in control of your senses, if you can't control your senses, then you are riding a crocodile in the river. And Kautilya was very emphatic in that respect, that character is very important for all in the administration, right from king to ministers, to senior government executives and officers, and to the people at the bottom. And whoever violates the rules, the discipline, has to be punished. Indriya Vasvarti Chaturanganapi Vinashati. If you don't control senses, if the king doesn't control senses, he is bound to be finished. His kingdom is bound to be doomed. Now, good governance and prosperity. Only a few slokas I am given here. As I have said, there are 6,000 slokas in Kautilya Arsas. And there are 150 chapters in which these are discussed. Some of these things I have quoted here. the king who is well educated and disciplined in sciences, devoted to good governance of his subjects, and bent on doing good to all people, will enjoy the earth unopposed. A successful king is only one who is well educated and disciplined. Now, Kautilya has talked about three types of kings: the Vijigushu, the medium, and the weak kings. And Vijigushu is the ideal king or the ideal emperor. The duty of the king is to acquire the kingdom, to develop the kingdom, to preserve the kingdom, and to extend the kingdom by attacking another countries or by adding more land to the kingdom, which he considers very important. And Vijigushu king is one who is powerful physically, mentally, and in terms of wealth, in terms of finance, and so on. So it is the man who governs the kingdom. He must have the ambition to develop the kingdom, to fight his enemies, win land for the kingdom, and enjoy the earth unopposed by making his people feel happy, for which he says that Praja Sukhe Sukham Ragya, Prajanam Chahite Hitam, Natma Priya Hitam Ragya, Prajanam Tu Hitam Priya. The king's welfare, the king's happiness lies in the happiness of the people. Artha eva pradhan iti Kautilya, artha mulo hi dharma kama viti. Kautilya said that wealth and wealth alone is important in as much as dharma and kam all depend upon the wealth. Nothing moves without wealth. And as it is old saying that if you don't have wealth, that you are not respected in society, you have no place in society. In fact, at one place, Kautilya has written that poor has no right to live. The meaning thereby that if you are begging for life and if you don't do your karma, if you don't earn for your living, you have no right to live. So he went to that extent. And creating wealth is the major responsibility of the state. Now, how a state creates that wealth? It is through the control of industries, it is through the operation of industrial activities, through providing incentive to agriculture, to provide trade and commerce, incentive to people who do trade and commerce and so on. And some of these aspects, again, we will discuss. Then the king must be energetic. His subject will be equally energetic. If he is recklessly, will not only be reckless, but eat into his kingdom also, his work also. So as it is said in Bhagavad Gita also, that people follow the Swami, the leader, the person who is the top. And it is the king who is followed by the people at all levels, at the level of the ministers, at the level of the government employees, government officers, and so on and so forth. Now, when we discuss about the good governance of, we must look into as to how the king rules over the country and provide good governance. Now, king rules with the help of, in terms of in present terms, the president or the prime minister of a country rules with the help of the cabinet, with the ministers. So Kautilya has given in detail the qualifications, the mode of appointment of ministers, and the responsibility of ministers. And some of the things which he have specifically given, for instance, he said that king should appoint the most qualified person for any job, irrespective of his relations with him. Now, I'm saying irrespective of relations with him, Kautilya himself did it. Kautilya appointed Rakshas as the chief minister of Chandragupta Maurya. And Rakshas was earlier the chief minister of Nanda's, whom he finished, whose empire he finished. Just because he knew that Rakshas was a highly qualified strategist to run a state. And he himself didn't become prime minister. He gave prime ministership to him. So the king should not look into who is known to him very much, or who is relative to him, or who is his friend, or who has been in childhood with him. In fact, at one place he says that in appointing any person who is very close to you, who has been in your childhood, your very good friend, or who is very good relative, and so on, you must take into account this fact that that person can be the biggest enemy of you also, because he knows your good points, but he also knows your weaknesses, and he can exploit your weaknesses for his gain. So good governance comes by the type of strategy which the kings king adopts in appointing his ministers, giving duties to ministers, giving them specific assignments. And also he says that ministers must be people who can be relied upon 100%. That is, they must be persons of confidence who will not leak out anything which has happened in the meeting with the king, or will tell anything which king doesn't want to be told to people. And if any minister does it, he doesn't deserve to be minister, and he can be sacked immediately. The other thing that we also find that Kautilya has a ring of spies in the whole country. I mean, he has suggested the ring of spies in the whole country. Spies who will look into the doings and undoings of ministers, government officers, senior executives in government, in public sector, in private sector, everywhere. And in very detail, he has given what type of people should be appointed as spies, what should be their qualification, what should they be paid, and what briefing should be made to them, and what tactics they have to adopt, and several types of spies he has mentioned. In fact, it's a science in itself, which for which Kautilya has created, that looking into the nitty-gritty of the state's activities, of the doings and undoings of people, all this comes to the knowledge of the king, and he governs the country accordingly. The other thing that is very notable in the kingdom, in the structure of the government, was the diplomacy. Kautilya was the first to tell about the diplomats, appointment of diplomats, the qualification of diplomats, how the diplomats will act in other country, how they are going to represent the king before the kings or the rulers of the other country, what type of information they are supposed to give to the king from time to time, how they control the spies which the king may appoint in that other kingdom, and they will tell about their activities and even control their activities. So it's a network of spies and diplomats about which what Kautilya has written is valid even today. And no other thinker or philosopher on this earth has written as good as Kautilya about diplomacy and about spies. Then Kautilya said that wealth and wealth alone is important in as much as dharma, kam, all depend upon the wealth. So you can't do anything without wealth. Unless you are rich, no nation is going to respect you. And you will be subject to all types of discriminations in the community of nations if you are not rich. So wealth and wealth alone is important. And dharma, karma, kam, all depends upon that. Rajan uttishta manam tushtante bhritya pramade manu pramadyanti, karmani chasya bhakchayanti. If the king is energetic, his subject will be energetic. If he is reckless, people will also be reckless, and the king will be eating into his own work. Now, treasury is very important. As I told that wealth and wealth alone can protect dharma, can protect karma and everything. And for the prosperity of the state, creation of wealth is the responsibility of the state. Everything depends upon finance, and therefore treasury gets the highest attention in the government. The Chamberlain shall see the construction of treasure house, trading house, storehouse of grains, storehouse of forest produce, the armory and the jail. The person responsible, that is Sanidhata, will look after the construction of treasury, trading house and things of this nature. And there are different sources from which the fund has to be raised, as the collector shall raise revenue from forest, country, mines, buildings, gardens, heads of the cattle, trade routes, business people, government enterprises, and so on. The person who is in charge of treasury should have thorough knowledge about external and internal incomes running even for 100 years, that when questioned, he can tell without hesitation the exact amount of net balance that remains. In a very systematic way, the accounts have to be maintained in the state. And the people who maintain account should be persons of character, and there can't be any doubt over their efficiency to work. You appoint only such people who know the nitty-gritty of the accounts and who can say, as he has said, that for 100 years, even if the account is questioned, the person can reply why he spent this money, where he spent money, where the money has gone, and so on. Now, such a perfect system of accounting and auditing it is very difficult to found out in any other text in the world. Now we come to the key administrative departments of the government, and which are really we must know about as to how different departments are run. The agriculture is managed by Sita Adhyaksh. Now, a Sita Adhyaksh should be appointed based upon his knowledge of agriculture, ground to earth man, a man who knows about how to motivate farmers. The farming system at that time was that land belonged to state, and the state used to allot land to the farmers for his lifetime. And the farmers were bound to till the farm. If they leave it barren, then the land would be taken back by the state and the person would be penalized. Now the Sita Adhyaksh has to see that good quality of seeds, fertilizers are provided to the farmers. Irrigation facilities are given to the farmers. The structure for irrigation and other farming activities well created. And farmers who themselves create some infrastructure for farming, for instance, they dig the wells or they create the ponds, water ponds, they will be subsidized by the state. So there was incentive provided to the farmers to provide, to have a good agriculture, to have a good productivity in their farm. And the farmers had to pay a part of the product to the state that used to be kept by the state in its store for emergency and for other purposes and so on. But there were no arbitrary levies on the farmers, and the treatment was very polite with them. In fact, the farmer had to be treated not only in terms of financial benefit very well, but also it was a responsibility of the government to look after the state of health of the farmers and his family. And at one place, Kautilya mentions that only a healthy farmer will be a good farmer, more producing farmer. So the welfare aspect was never underlooked by Kautilya. It was emphasized in all types of administration. Then Sutradhyaks used to look after the textile industry. Now the textile was a state enterprise, as most of the enterprises in Kautilya time, they were run by the state. So weavers, spinners and weavers used to be at one place provided by the state. They were paid wages according to the work. They were supervised by the Sutradhyaks, and whose duty was to provide good quality of raw material and to see that in time the raw material is there. He was also responsible to see that wages and salaries are dispersed in time to the people and people are motivated. And at the same time, those who neglect their duty or those who steal raw material or do something unethical, they are punished. The Sutradhyaks must be well versed in textile industry work. Similarly, Swarnadhyaks, the gold ornaments, the silver ornaments, the pearl ornaments, all these are manufactured in the factory established by the state in different places. And qualified Swarnakars used to be appointed there, and Swarnadhyaks was to examine their work, give them assignment, give them work, provide the design of the product and the raw material for the product in time. And he has also to see that not a single ounce of gold or silver or pearl is stolen from the factory. And there was a system to check all types, all category of employees and officers there. And anybody found doing thing which is not permitted was heavily punished. Then there was Kupyadhyaks, Akradhyaks, Paniyadhyaks, Pautadhyaks. I mean, for different type of activities, you find different officers appointed, the superintendents or what you call heads of the departments, they used to be appointed for that. I would like to mention about Akradhyaks also, for instance. Now you will be surprised to see the technical knowledge of Kautilya in connection with the materials, mines and minerals. For instance, what are different types of gold? He has mentioned. Where the gold of different types is found. How does the soil of a particular place and the water resources of that place can give clue to the mineral products. And he said that the Akradhyaks must be a very qualified, not only administrator, but also a technical man who knows about the mines extensively well and who can guide people in proper manner. And also who can check that there is no pilferage, there is no stealing or anything of that type. Very important and very powerful Adhyaksh was the Akradhyaks. Now, Paniyadhyaks was concerning the business, trade, commerce, and so on. So, Pautadhyaks about the ships and so on. Kostragadhyaks were looking after warehouses where government government officers were responsible for storing food grains, honey, fruits, vegetables, and dry fruits and things of this nature, and other things which may be required by the state for the people. There was, for animals, Goadhyaksh. For taxation, for instance, Shukladhyaksh was there. Now, there are some interesting features of Shukladhyaksh. The Shukladhyak's responsibility is to collect taxes. But how he collects taxes? Just as the bees, they don't destroy the flowers. Similarly, Shukladhyaksh has to collect taxes without harming people, without creating an environment of fear among them. People must be willingly coming to pay taxes, and he has to create that environment. And he is supposed not to collect more than due should or due tax. If he collects more tax than due from any person or any businessman or for any other enterprise, then he has to pay penalty for that. So the Sulka Adhyaksh have to be honest in his effort in collecting taxes. He has to be very polite to the people in dealing with them, and then see that treasury is full of money. Shulk he has to collect from all sources which are permitted and which are under his control. Then there are Akshapatala Adhyaksh, Lakshana Adhyaksh, Nava Adhyaksh, Sura Adhyaksh, Ayuragar Adhyaksh, Raksha Adhyaksh, Ityadi. Say Suradhar Adhyaksh, for instance. Now, drinking in public places was prohibited, and government used to provide places where drinking takes place. That is good facility where people can sit and drink and enjoy. But they are not permitted to do it on the roads and places like that and so on. Then Ayogara Adhyaksh, the person who looks upon the armory where the armaments are stored, and he has to control it. Rasa Adhyaksh, for instance, the person who controls the manufacturing of Rath, and Rath were manufactured for guards, Devarath as it was called. It was for king, Rath were for common man, Rath for different activities, even Rath for enemy countries, how what type of vehicle should be made for penetrating into the enemy regime and so on and so forth. So in a very scientific manner, you find that appointments were made, and appointments were made on qualification, on experience, on integrity, and honesty of the officers. And officers were responsible for their activities. And if they commit mistakes, if they are negligent, or if they are corrupt, then they had to pay a very heavy penalty, for which we will come a little later. Okay. Now, illustrations I've already given. Here, for instance, the Sita Adhyaksh, process of the knowledge of science of agriculture, plantation of trees, assisted by those trained in agriculture. He shall arrange in time seeds of all kinds, grains, flowers, fruits, vegetables, roots, fiber, producing plants and action. And as I have told you that he must have a knowledge of agriculture. It's not that a person who says that the आलू जमीन में नहीं बल्कि अगर कोई कहता है कि आलू पेड़ में पैदा होता है, तो ऐसा आदमी अपॉइंटमेंट के लिए फिक्स नहीं होता था, चाहे वो राजा का बहुत प्रिय हो, चाहे कोई भी हो. तो appointment of people in all activities of the state, in all departments which the state run, they must have qualification and experience. The connection with the king or his family or minister doesn't matter. About Rasa Adhyaksh, I've already told that there are different types of rasas which were manufactured. Okay. इसके पहले बाद वाला पहले कर दो, इसके बाद वाला पहले कर दो. हाँ, नहीं वही करो, पहले गवर्नमेंट yes, like. Now, those who are possessed of ministerial qualifications shall, in accordance with their individual capacity, be appointed as heads of government departments. While at work, they shall daily examine, because men are not constant in their behavior. Now, it's a very important thing that we have to look into. Men are not constant in behavior. A person may be very good today, very honest today, but tomorrow if he is posted at a place where it is very alluring to him, and maybe he changes his mind and becomes corrupt. So government officers or people in the government who administer things, they are to be examined daily, in fact, as he says. And as I told that even the ring of spies are there to find out who is doing what. The person's behavior and character is very important in the things that Kautilya has propagated. Now, there are some beautiful examples she has given. Yo yasmin karma kushalastam tasmin vajoyate Chanakya Pranit Sutra. This is Matsya yathanta salile charanto gyatum na sakya salilam vivanta yukta sata karya vidho yukta gyatum na sakya dhan madadana. Just as fish moving underwater can't possibly be found out either drinking or not drinking water, so the government servants, while on duty, can't be easily found out taking bribe or misusing fund. Similarly, the other shloka, Atisakya gatir gyavanam pattam khe ramo patatram natu prachannam bhavanam yuktanam charta gati. It is possible to mark the movement of birds flying high in the sky, but not to ascertain the movement of government servants' hidden purpose, his hidden desires, and the way he does confidentially harming the state, harming the administration, and so on. It's very interesting to read the chapters on government officers. He has mentioned, Kautilya has mentioned 48 types of corruption. I mean, how the money can be taken out from the treasury, at what place, how the other people are involved in that, how it is done by maintaining accounts and say manipulating accounts. So there are many ways in which the state's treasury can be harmed by the people. Government money can be eaten by the officers, by the people concerned in the government, by the people who are responsible for financial activities. And for each of these activities, depending upon the severity of the neglect or about the intention, about the misappropriation, about the bribing and other things, other activities, the penalty has been fixed. In different cases, different penalties have been fixed. And a very extensive debate he has given. And he has quoted there other rishis, munis also, what type of punishment should be given. What Manu has said, or what Brihaspati has said, or what Shukracharya has said about punishing the administrators or people in government or other people for misappropriation of the funds or other things. And ultimately, he has given his own conclusion that people should be punished according to the guilt, according to the offense they do, not more, not less. While many other previous preceptors have said 8 times, 10 times, 12 times penalty may be imposed and things of this nature, Kautilya said it should be in accordance with the guilt, accordance with the misconduct, and so on. It is possible to mark the movement of this, is what we have already done. So, next. Yes. Okay. Manu holds that fine equal to loss of revenue multiplied by circumstances of guilt, ignorance, negligence, self-gain. Prasad holds that the fine in all cases shall be 8 times the amount lost. Brihaspati, it should be 10 times of the guilt, while Prasad recommends 20 times. Kautilya said that punishment should be in proportion to the guilt. If officer in charge of treasury causes loss of money, he shall be whipped, while his abettors shall receive half the punishment. If the loss is due to ignorance, he shall be censured. and the robber shall be tortured to death. Financial misconduct was very heavily punished. And at several places, Kautilya has mentioned about this, that it should not be tolerated. Any negligence, any misappropriation of financial, of finance, of money should not be tolerated by the state. Government servants will not only be confiscated of their ill-earned money, but also be transferred from one work to another so that they can't either misappropriate government money or vomit what they have eaten. So at all levels, so that they are heads of departments or government officers at lower level or at middle level, at whatever level, they are all subject to discipline, subject to rules and regulations, and they have to follow it strictly, and they have to do nothing which happens to be a misappropriation or misconduct on their part. Then there is another interesting feature of Kautilya Arthashastra is protection of common man from exploitation of business people. The market commissioner shall protect consumers from exploitation. Fine for difference in weights and measures will be twice of the weight. Now the baniya who tries to have the weight and measure which deceives the customer will have to pay twice of the value of the product, the fine which government will impose on him. The sale of articles such as timber, iron, precious stones, ropes, skins, earthenwares, threads, fiber garments, woolen clothes as superior, if the trader says it's of superior quality and what he gives is of inferior quality, then he will be punished with a fine which may be 8 times of the value of the article. Merchants who conspire to prevent the sale of article or sell or purchase at higher prices shall be fined 1,000 panas. Now there is a common practice in business people to come together, form cartels or monopoly, hold the goods, increase prices and charge higher prices from the customers. Kautilya has very specifically given this responsibility to state to check these people, check these merchants and business people. And if they are found practicing monopoly practices, if they do, they must be very heavily fined so that the common man, the consumer, doesn't suffer. Similarly, adulteration of grain, oil, alkalis, salt, scent, medicines, and similar articles. If they say it's of good quality and if they give a lower quality, they shall be punished with fine of so much. So for different type of misconduct in connection to business, the fines have been imposed by Calcutta. Anyway. Now let us examine some of the policy implications which are social and administrative in nature, and what we learn from Kautilya. Now, improving agricultural productivity, for instance. He said that it is the responsibility of the state to provide good quality of seeds. It is the responsibility of the state to provide irrigation. And if the agriculturist, if the farmer himself create the infrastructure like building canal or building wells and ponds and other things for irrigation, he should be given subsidy by the state. The state has to see that land is in every village there is a land for pasture. In every village there is a land for residence separately. In every village there is a land for temple. In every village there is a land for learned people, the teachers, the people who are serving the society in different ways. Farmers' income, for instance, we are talking of doubling the farmers' income. How are we going to double the farmers' income? So there are what he has suggested, as I told earlier, that number one, the productivity of the farm should be increased. And unless you increase productivity, you can't increase the income of the farmer. So farmer has to be given all those facilities by which he can have more production. And then the state should also compensate the farmer in cases of emergency, like floods or natural calamity and other things. In that event, no charges should be made from the farmer. No part of grain should be asked, he should be asked to part with as taxes, and even financial assistance will be given to the farmer. Then the provision for warehousing of agricultural products. We see lot of waste today, for instance, also where the wheat and other products in government warehouses, they are eaten by the rats and animals and so on. The loss is tremendous. Kautilya was very keen on that warehousing facility should be in a very scientific manner where things can be procured and kept safe for use by the state. Then problem of farm laborers must be given good wages and their welfare should be looked into. Marketing farm and dairy products. The state will help the farmers in marketing their farm products and dairy products. For dairy products, for instance, it has been specifically mentioned that in each village there will be gopalaks, people who keep large number of cows, buffaloes and others. And similarly, people can keep cows and animals at home and produce milk and milk products and sell it. So milk was in abundance in that time. And fortunately, we are now in a time that India is one of the biggest milk producers at that time. So it is the traditional knowledge which is there. It is the tradition of having gwalas in our villages, in our cities, and having cows in our angans, our homes. That is where we have a lot of milk available to us. Industrial production, make in India, technology transfer, critical raw material, capital market, global competition. Now let us take make in India, for instance. We are now talking of making India. And the government has made a policy that we should be trying to be independent as much as possible on the goods of high quality, products of high quality, and depend as less as possible on the import. Kautilya, the remedy which Kautilya has given at that time was role of public sector. As I told earlier, most of the manufacturing was done in the public sector enterprises, public sector factories, where people used to be employed by the state, qualified skilled persons and qualified technical people and officers were appointed to do the job. So state enterprise was highly developed in that time. And what, for instance, came after Russian Revolution, what Marx said or Lenin said, and what came as socialistic pattern of society, much of this was already there, a socialistic pattern of society where state used to control the things and provide for that. But at the same time, businessmen were given all facilities in Kautilya's time. And there is a mention of beautiful markets in the cities, full of gold ornament shops and full of the shops of daily requirement of the people. Even in the forts, the markets were considered very good markets were established and so on. Now, critical raw material, we have already seen the Akara Dhak's responsibility to see, to find out the materials, mines and minerals, product from where they come and how they are to be tested for the quality and to what use they had to be put. Then capital market, of course, there was no capital market of the type that we have today. Today we have a share market and things of this nature. There were no share markets of that time. But there was no paucity of capital. People were provided finance for their jobs, for what they needed. And there used to be also a system of banking, which was, of course, in the hands of private people since long in India, which became a corrupt system also later by the exploitation of these people. But there was banking there also. Just coming. In global trade and barriers, we must promote global trade. Kautilya has mentioned about how the traders who used to go in the deep seas and to different countries, their interest was protected, their life was protected. They were provided incentives. Dumping of goods in the country by other countries were totally disallowed, and heavy punishment, heavy duties were levied on the products which were not useful for the country or which were not produced, which were produced in the country, and they would face unnecessary competition and so on. Then about services, we have discussed something about the integrity, character, and other things, and how services have been provided. Poverty and income disparity. Now, we are living in a state today where there is an income disparity, no doubt, but there was a very good news today. I think you would all have seen it. World Bank has said that in terms of equity, India is only fourth in the world. That's a big achievement. That is what people have been taught, that there is a wide gap between rich and poor in India. The World Bank doesn't say it like this. It says something else. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir, for this great talk. And in today's time of global economic shifts and leadership challenges, we often overlook the profound insights rooted in our own civilization legacy. India has always had a deeply structured approach to governance, economy, ethics, and human welfare, much of which is encapsulated in our ancient Indian knowledge systems. And you have told about Kautilya, which is also known as Chanakya or Vishnugupta, whose treatise, the Arthashastra, is not just a political manual, but a detailed guide to statecraft, taxation, military strategy, economic planning, welfare, justice, and ethics. So we are very much thankful for your great talk and great speech about the topic on good governance and economic prosperity by Kautilya. So thank you very much, sir, for this great conversation. And now there are some questions, answers, question answer session will be there. So there are some questions in the chat box, and who wants to ask questions or who has some queries about this talk, they can write in chat box also. So we will one by one take the questions from the chat box, and you can raise your hands also. So anything might be possible, raise your hands, or you can type in chat box. So first of all, Anil M. Anilji, if you are here, because you told us that you are getting late, and okay, you are not on you are not now. So there are some questions you can see here. Anilji told, there is a question which is asked by Prashant Kumar Mishra ji. How can we address the issue of environmental economics in context with Kautilya Arthashastra?
Yes, I think it's a very good question. Kautilya has written a lot about the environment protection. For instance, in city planning, he says that you have to see that the route for taking the dead body is not from inside the city, but there is an outer road provided for that, which will go to the Smasan, to the cremation ground. He has elaborated his thinking on environment in his Vastu Shastra. How the buildings are to be constructed. What should be the direction where you have the windows, where you have the doors, how the fresh air passes through the house, in the house. Then the other religious aspects which are related to Vastu Shastra, they are dealing with that. Now, a very interesting example I give of Kautilya's concern for environment, where he says that if the fruit-bearing trees and the milk-giving animals, they are cut or they are slaughtered, and if the people who do it, they go to heaven, then who will go to hell? Now you can just see the foresight of the man. That is protection of trees. The protection of milk animals is very important for human existence. And people who destroy the environment, they must be punished. They don't deserve to go to heaven. They have to be punished here itself. In city planning, in village planning, he has given this the idea of environment protection very well. The cities and the villages and all these places must be surrounded by forests, by rivers or by water canals, by big trees wherever possible, and the roads and the lanes which are built should be such where people can comfortably walk and do their work. So the planning, city planning itself is an art, and he has extensively written about that. About villages also, there must be land for pasture, for animals. There must be land for temple separately. There must be land for schools, colleges, pathshala, these gurukuls and things of this nature, and land for living of the people, living of farmers as well as people who provide different services, and the amount of money which they are given to provide their services, it must be adequate so that people don't try to destroy environment, they preserve environment, and a environment-friendly state is created.
So thank you. Thanks a lot. And now the raise your hands by Surinder Dhar. Please
Yeah.
switch on your
Can you hear
camera
me now?
first of all. Yes, we can hear you. But if it is possible, then switch on your camera and please tell us about something about you, your some
Right. So
description
let me
or details, and ask
yeah.
the questions after that.
Yeah. So first of all, I want to thank you, guy. The title song you played was reminiscence of Bhudev ji. When he used to be in Atlanta, I used to meet him regularly when in 2004, 2003. So it was very good to, I'm attending a waves session after a long time, and looks like you guys have made quite a bit of progress, in the last few years. So my question was regarding, you talked about Shastra and Shastra, but we didn't see, how much was budgeted for the security and, defense budget or so. What was Kautilya saying about the security aspect and how to use the economics and the importance between the two of them. Let me switch my camera as well so that.
See, the security of the state was among the top priorities of the Kautilya. And it was not only that there used to be budget provisions, there is no specific mention of this, that how much will go to our defense or how much will go to different activities. But adequate funds were provided for safety of the nation, for maintaining the army, maintaining the armory, purchasing the arms and ammunition, training of the people for that, and having an army which could control the situation, which can control any invasion, and we should be ready to invade other countries, others also. So there was, and as I told you that the ideal king which he conceived was Vijigishu, who not only protects his environment, his state or kingdom, but also go ahead and tries to procure more land by winning other nations, extending the boundaries of the country as such. So if the king, ideal king is like that, so necessarily he has to spend a lot of more money on defense. And defense preparations were defense expenditure was quite high those days. And all efforts were made because otherwise it was not possible. And in this context, let me say a few more things which I couldn't deal with that time. Kautilya has given a concept of mandal. Mandal means circle. Along with a nation, around a nation, there are 12 circles. Each circle is called one mandal. The nearest circle is your nearest neighbor. For instance, you have Pakistan, China, Nepal, and so on. And he says that the most dangerous are these people, these states. I mean, they can be friendly to you, but if they are unfriendly, they are most dangerous. Then you have the other layers. Your friends, your enemies, your friends' friends, your enemies' friends, your enemies' enemies, and so on. And with whom you have what type of relations? Whom you should make your friend, whom you should treat your enemy, and how you should deal with them. Now, dealing with foreign countries or foreign rulers required a very strong army, very strong defense, because if the king is ambitious and he wants to expand his empire, then he will do it only after having a big army, a very well-trained army, shipping, the navy, a very well-trained navy, because those days navy was very important. And lots of ships from India used to sail to different countries. In fact, India was the only country at that time where the shipping was so much developed. And Indian traders used to travel a lot to different countries to sell. These Dhaka Malmals or others, as it is called, they were sold in Greece and they were sold in Egypt and things of places of those places and so on. So you had you have a lot of provision for your security and safety of the nation, and in terms of army also, in terms of other factors.
But you don't, there's no mention of any percentages. The other related question was, obviously death was very common with the spies and soldiers that time. Is there any way how they would compensate them or kind of take care of their families, mentioned in the Arthashastra?
Yes, it used to be. I mean, if the trader is lost, if he is not able to return, there was a provision that family should be compensated. In fact, it was government's responsibility at that time to protect traders, to have Sainiks on the boat, state Sainiks on the boat, to see that they are not looted and things of that nature. And when the trader comes back, of course, he was given warm welcome and things of this nature. And there was no, there is no example given that the trader should be exploited after he has come back from earning a lot of money and things of this nature. But as far as welfare of the family is concerned, I have told you there was a specific provision that helpless women, children and family members will be looked after by the state. So they were given financial assistance. If it happens with a trader, so his family will also be entitled for financial assistance.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद
Thank you,
वालेंद्र
sir.
जी, thank you so much.
Thank you, Surinder Dharji, and thank you, Professor. And next question is from Asharata Pandeyji. She is also in this meeting. And the question is, are there any other books by Kautilya other than Arthashastra and Chanakya Niti? These two books are there, but is there any other book written by Kautilya?
Book on Kautilya or book about other book of Kautilya?
Yes, she is asking about the other book of Kautilya.
He has written Niti Shastra also. So Kautilya Padhi Sutra also, Sutras are also there. I mentioned one sutra very important, that Sukha Sambulam Dharma, Dharma Sambulam Artha. It is the first sutra from Kautilya's Pranit Sutra. So these are books, but there are some books which are credited to Kautilya by some authors. It includes some other subjects, but they are very doubtful, because Kautilya's main Kautilya's thoughts were mostly given in the Arthashastra, which he wrote. And I don't think there are other books which are so relevant, and their authenticity is not proved, except Arthashastra and Niti Shastra and Parit Sutra and so on.
थैंक यू
Asharata ji, I think
प्रोफेसर प्रसाद जी, बहुत अच्छा वक्तव्य था आपका, व्याख्यान. थैंक यू वेरी मच. नमस्कार.
thank you, Asharata ji. And the next question is from Dr. Aparna Dhirji from Waves. You can ask your question yourself also, or should I ask from chat box? Welcome,
Chat
Dr.
box
Aparna
is
ji.
fine. Namaste,
Okay, chat box
everyone.
is fine.
Ji.
Okay, so the question is, are there any specific guidelines mentioned for Chatur Varna system of society to have peace in Rashtra or society?
Yes.
Chatur Varna system is there. So, any specific guidelines mentioned for Chatur Varna system?
Yes, yes. I'm told that king is responsible for Varnashram Dharma. He is responsible to protect it and promote it. It is specifically written there. And then what you find is that, as I told you, it is based upon the division of labor. I mean, a person is a Brahman who is a good teacher, who is Vidwan, who is knowledgeable person in any field of life, and he is providing that service to the society, not by birth, but by his qualification. A Kshatriya is good. A Kshatriya is Kshatriya who is a warrior, who has a fighting insight, who can go to the battlefield and is willing to give his life for the nation. That determined type of person is a Kshatriya. Not a person born in a Kshatriya family is Kshatriya, or a person born in a Brahman family is Brahman. No such. Kautilya doesn't recognize, and I told you that if a Brahman commits crime, he is as much responsible as any other person, as a Sudra, as a Vaishya, as any other person. There is no discrimination. In army, all types of people can be recruited. So discrimination on the basis of birth is not prohibited. And that is the theme, I suppose. That is the basic principle.
So this is the karma adharit varna vyavastha basically, and the whole responsibility is on the king basically.
It is
Aparna
here.
ji, do you want to ask some more?
Sir, is there any chapter reference of a chapter where I can study this?
Yes, chapters I can refer you, but I've not written it here. I can send you one.
You will send the details, Aparna ji.
We can ask later on, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
So thank you, Aparna ji. And the next G. Thanga Rajesh ji, are you here? Assistant Professor, Defense and Strategic Studies, Guru Nanak College, Chennai. The question is, okay, Rajeshji. The question of Rajeshji is there. What was the importance of Kautilya gave to national security or defense of a kingdom? Rajeshji,
This-
you can switch on your camera also if it is possible for you.
Defense was one of the priorities of the Kautilya. And as I told you, Arthashastra is not only dealing with economic matters, it is extensively dealing with the state matters. How the state is protected and what type of defense strategy the state has to adopt. So you find today that we have a lot of trouble with neighboring states. And we find in Kautilya Arthashastra that the neighboring state can be most dangerous in that mandal concept or the concept which I explained before you. Or what countries have to be our friend, what countries have to be our enemy, and how we are going to deal with them. So these are defense matters which are very seriously taken over by Kautilya. Then law and order situation inside the country had to be maintained. And people who create any lawlessness, they were very severely punished. A very strong judicial system was built in Kautilya's time. And the judges have to be qualified and honest to the hilt. If a judge takes bribe or anything of that type, he had to face severe punishment for that. The witnesses, if they go to the court and they give wrong statement, they had to be punished. A fair judicial system was built up by Kautilya. Dandaniti was there, and Dandaniti, as I told you, it applied to all, at all levels, right from ministers to the lowest level employee. And anybody doing misappropriation, anybody taking bribe, anybody doing unethical activity is punished. Even the officers who try to do something immoral, for instance, inside the factory, if they look upon a woman in a manner which is objectionable, or they misbehave, or they do anything of the type which is not permitted, they will be sacked from the job. They will be penalized for this, and so on. So moral values, along with the strict discipline, that is what we find in Arthashastra.
Thank you, sir. Any other query about Rajesh ji? Do you have any other query? Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot. And next question is from Gokulendra Goswami ji. He said that I am from Guwahati, Assam, and the question is, what is the birthplace of Kautilya as per your view?
See, it's a little disputable. Normally, it has been considered that he was born in Chanakya in Punjab. But then scholars in South have disputed it. And some scholars in Kerala, they say that Chanakya Kautilya was born in Kerala. And as a proof, they said that the gotra to which he belongs is a gotra which is found only in Kerala, in South. Kautilya. So from Kautilya, he became Kautilya. Now, where the truth lies, it's very difficult to say, because there is no authentic proof for any of these arguments, whether he was really from Punjab or he was born in Kerala. But then there is one thing, that he has moved, even if he was born in Kerala, he moved to other places. He didn't confine there, because his activities, his role was not in Kerala. It became in Pataliputra in Bihar.
Magadh.
He destroyed Nanda's dynasty and so on. And it is said, even Kerala scholars admit that he left Kerala for Kashi, for Varanasi. He was there for some time. And from there, he went to Pataliputra.
Okay, thank you, sir. Gokulendra ji, any more? Anything more?
Thank you.
We can't hear you properly. Please.
Actually, sir, I am sorry that I come very late. I have actually attended only for 10 minutes. Actually, I forgot it. Anyway, it is a very fine lecture. I am highly obliged to all of you. I am highly obliged.
You can listen the complete talk
Sir.
on YouTube channel also. So there is a video. There will be the video, and you can listen the complete talk also.
Okay, sir. What would be
thank
the
you, Gokulendra ji.
YouTube address, sir? YouTube address?
Yes, on YouTube. On YouTube, there will be on Waves India
I'm sharing
channel.
the link
YouTube.
in the chat.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank
Kindly
you.
organize more. Kindly organize more.
And Earth is very important. So we are getting the many more questions in the chat box also. But I think this is the last question we can take because the times are getting more at this time. So Dr. Mosmi Chattopadhyay is there. I can see her. And the question of Dr. Mosmi Chattopadhyay is, my question is also the same one. Okay, what was the real birth? Okay, you are asking the same question. Okay, so I think you got the answer. And if you ask some
Yes,
more,
I got
you
the
can
answer.
talk.
Thank you, sir. I got the answer.
Yes.
Sir,
Okay.
it
So
was
so
nice
so thank
lecture. Thank you, sir.
Thank you a lot. And in the chat box, you can find the YouTube link of this talk, and we are getting many comments of this for this talk. Dhirendra Shahaji from USA told that this is a very good integrated talk, and thank you very much, Professor Lallan Prasad ji, and as well as Anil M. She also appreciated this talk very much. And Gokulendra Swamiji is Goswamiji is saying that excellent speech, warm regards and congratulations. And as well as some more comments are here in the chat box about this talk and presentation. So we are very thankful, Professor Lallan Prasad ji, for your great talk on this very important issue of Kautilya and good governance as well as economic prosperity. So we are going for the next level of this talk, and I would like to invite Dr. Shashi Tiwari ji, President Waves India. Ma'am, we want that your expert comments on this talk and what is going at present according to Kautilya. Please, can you say something? It will be beneficial for all of us. Dr. Shashi Tiwari, ma'am. Ma'am, welcome you in this platform, which is basically created by you. So
Thank you very much, Ashutosh. We were listening to Professor Lallan Prasad ji, and he is an expert of Kautilya. We all know about that. But today, a full talk we have heard from him, and we are very happy that it was a very illustrative and very thought-provoking talk. So, in the last portion, there was some discussion about the name Chanakya and Kautilya. So I have heard, and I have written also in my book on Arthashastra, that Chanakya is called Chanakya because of Chanakya Putra. Chanak was the father, and Kautilya, the etymology is done like that. Kutilmati sa Kautilya. He was very Kutilmati, Kutil Buddhi. That's why he was called Chanakya. So this is the etymology of the two words which are associated with him. Regarding his native place, probably he was most related with the University of Takshashila. He was professor there. Lastly, everything was settled with Chandragupta. Then finally he went to Takshashila and again started his professorship, and then he wrote this Arthashastra. Like that, it is written in the history book. So Arthashastra is a complete book, and Chanakya was the expert of all types of disciplines, all types of books, or Dharmashastra, Arthashastra, all other types. At that time, probably Arthashastra was the main branch, and not main branch, it was the subsidiary branch of Dharmashastra. So Dharmashastra was important. And I like this thing very much, that I was never knowing that, as you told that at the time, Chanakya has mentioned that how to maintain accounts, and I think this type of knowledge is not found in any other ancient book. Then about Dand, you have told that Dand was very important. Raja should not be very harsh. He should not be very strict. Otherwise, Raja will be disturbed, and he should not be very soft. Finally, in the last time, says, "No, you are free. You are no punishment will be done." So, if he says like that, then even then, Raja will think that this king is not very disciplined and strict, so Praja will not follow him. So it means that the dand should be according to the crime. As Kalidas has said, Yatha Prad Dandana in the Raghuvansha, he has said that अपराध के अनुसार दंड होना चाहिए. तो ये बहुत बड़ी चीज है, इसीलिए we know that Arthashastra is called Danda Shastra also, Danda Niti also. There are many other names, because in the Arthashastra, in the textbook of poetics, what is the most important? According to me also, what is the most important is punishment. In the Nyaya Vyavastha, finally, there are three part of governance, and in the last, that is judiciary, and in the judiciary it is important, the punishment is important. So that is why the books of politics were called Arthashastra, Danda Shastra, Danda Niti. And I will not take much time. And there is a saying also, people were asking about the security of the Rashtra. What is the opinion of Chanakya? So he has written, Shastrena Rakshite Rajye, Shastra Charcha Pravartate. Shastrena Rakshite Rajye. If the Raj is Rakshit from Shastra, firstly, Shastra is important. The kingdom should be Surakshit, kingdom should be protected, and then only people will be engaged in Swadhyay, in Shastra Charcha, in reading and literary knowledge, and in spirituality, all these things. So both are important, but that is the first. So like that, yes. And there is a quotation also, as you were showing, everything is in the Arthashastra, related to poetics, related to governance, related to economics, related to Kar, Guptashar, Doot, Mantri, Sena, Shatru, everything is there. So there is a quotation which people have changed of Mahabharata. Yadi asti tadanyatra, yadi nasti natvat kachit. What is in this book will be everywhere, and what is not in this book will not be anywhere. So this, with these words, I again thank you very much for giving your valuable time and your accepting Wave's invitation to give an illustrative talk about this subject of related to Kautilya. And I am also thankful to the audience, very learned audience is here, and I am very thankful that they are joining every month with Wave's this program, and this program is jointly organized by Waves International and Waves India. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks, Sarot, for your kind comments about this session, and valuable thinking is very important. So Kautilya's Arthashastra is very important for our day-to-day life, this modern era also. So in this time, we are saying that this is the economical era, and Kautilya said to 300 and 2000 years back that Arth eva pradhanah. So economy is every time very important. So economical aspects are very important. So Kautilya's relevance in this time is also very relevant. So we all should study Kautilya's Arthashastra. This is not only a political scripture. This is the society scripture also. This is economical aspects also. This is the spiritual aspects also. This is the sustainable aspects also. So all the aspects which are needed for today's society, we can find in Arthashastra by Kautilya's. So as we draw this session to a close, I thank our distinguished speaker, Professor Lallan Prasadji. Thank you very much, sir, for your great, amazing, and thought-provoking talk. And also, I am very much thankful, Professor Shashi Tiwari ji, for your presidentship and for your margadarshan and for your blessings, which we get every time. Dr. Aparna ji is also here. She is also helping us, support us to create these type of events. And I also thank Adarsh ji and Supriya ji for the technical support. Umesh Kumar Singh ji is also here, and complete Wave Society basically is here in this meeting in this platform. So I am very much thankful to all distinguished guests as well as all the audience from all over the world to make successful this session. And I also thankful all participants for making this discussion so meaningful, because your questions were very important to create this session successful. Today's session has not only revisited Kautilya's pragmatic brilliance, but also reminded us that good governance is not a modern invention. It is a civilization value rooted in a tradition that prized justice, prosperity, social order, and more moral leadership. We have learned how the Arthashastra integrates governance with economic strategy, internal security, foreign policy, and ethical conduct, a complete vision of statehood. We are also reminded that Indian knowledge systems are not relics. They are repositories of living knowledge that can help us reimagine education, public policy, economic development, and leadership in more holistic ways. So let us carry forward this legacy not as history, but as intellectual empire.
I think there is a network disconnection of Ashutosh ji. The program was with a great speaker with us, Professor Lallan Prasad ji, and also I would like, on behalf of him and Waves, I would like to
Thank you
extend my
once
thanks
again.
and gratitude.
Yes, the network issue is here. I'm very much thankful to all of you to making this session successful. Thank you once again. And in the end, we can recite a shloka from Chanakya Arthashastra.
There is again a technical glitch, and Ashutosh ji is here with us. Yes, Ashutosh ji, please.
Can you listen me? Am I audible?
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay, okay. In Ajmer there is a huge problem of internet at present. So I'm very much thankful to all of you. And in the end, we can recite a shloka from Chanakya Arthashastra. And after that, we will complete this session by Kalyana Mantra. Praja sukhe sukham rajyah prajanam cha hite hitam natma priya hitam rajyah prajanam tu priyam hitam. So Chanakya says that if we are trying to welfare all over the world, then this is the priyam for all of us. So not think about only for us, only for me, only for self. We have to think about all over the world. And this is said also in Gita, Kevalago Bhavati Kevaladi, who only eating for himself, who doing work for himself only, he is doing sins basically. He is not welfaring the complete world. So the welfare of the complete world is very much required, and this is also said in Kalyana Mantra. So we are concluding this session by Kalyana Mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukhabhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. सर्वेभ्यो नमो नमः. भवद्भ्यः धन्यवादः.